Hi everybody, Deb here, and this is a bit of a departure for me tonight in that I don't ever like to film in my kitchen. I hate the wallpaper and my kitchen's pretty thrashed. So, also my kitchen is almost never all the way clean because I am constantly making something new. So, anyway, tonight I am going to be making some bar soap with lye. One of my friends over at Code Searcher wanted to see it, so that's what I'm doing tonight. And I started making bar soap about like 11 years ago or so, and I guess what prompted it was when I lived in Colorado. We were like dirt poor, but a couple of times I splurged and I bought $8 bar of soap. That was a handcrafted bar of soap. It was rosemary and I think oatmeal. And I just loved it. Then when we had to move back to Texas, we were still using regular store-bought soap. But something weird started happening with the soap where it just started to last forever. And it started freaking me out because when I was young, bar soap did not last forever. But it would just keep getting like bigger and bigger and bigger and like layers. And so I read on it one day all of the gobbledygook that's in bar soap. And I was like, what is all that? And so I was telling one of my best girlfriends about that and how I was uncomfortable with it. And she said, well, we make our own soap. And so I asked if they would show me how to do it. And I've been doing it ever since. So I really love it. The bar soaps do not last that long, but I just love the quality. So I hope that you will enjoy this and maybe learn something. All right. When you're working with lye, you don't want to breathe it in. You want to use some kind of protection for your eyes. And if you get some on your skin, you're going to want some of this. Vinegar. Vinegar will stop the lye from eating your skin. If you don't use it, it will keep eating it. It's not comfortable. And also, if you do have a situation where the lye gets on your skin and it's burning, and you put the vinegar on there, it can still feel a little burning when you get that vinegar on there. So don't freak out. Put the vinegar on there. Just rub it in. Wait a couple minutes. Wash it off. I usually do it a couple times if I get some on me, but I don't normally get any on me. So you're going to want a pair of gloves. When I first started doing this, I would wear the really high gloves all the way up my arm. But now I don't freak out too much because, like I said, you could just put vinegar on you and it's not that big a deal. When you you should put your lye water, you should do that part of it outside because you're not supposed to breathe it in. So I usually take my water outside. Let me show you what it looks like. I've got 32 ounces of, this is just filtered water. Most recipes call for distilled water. I used to use distilled water, but now that I got like a Berkey type thing, I just use the filtered water. So I take this outside, I put it on my porch, and then I very slowly put the lye into it because because we have so much humidity here, there's been a few times that a piece will drop in the water and it could burn you. And so just do it as slowly as possible. carefully as possible is what I really mean, um, so that you don't burn yourself. Also, I had this on my back porch, and on the corner of my back porch, it's wooden. Then there's a piece of wood that goes across there, and that's where I sit it. Well, one of my cats got up there one time, and she drank it, and I freaked out. I thought she was dead for sure. She didn't die. She does throw up quite a bit, quite often now. She just has a sensitive stomach now. But since then, I have been putting like a little grate on top of it so that nothing will get in there and take a drink. All right, so what I first do is heat up my oils, and I need to get my recipe out. Just a sec. Okay, so I've been using the same recipe for quite some time. All right, so what I do is I do this like 4 times. So I do 32 ounces of water and 8 ounces of lye. So I'm going to measure out the lye right now. You're going to want a little thermometer to put in and out of your live water to check it, because you want the, let me see where it's at. You want your lye water approximately at 100 degrees and your oils at 110 degrees. So I have a thermometer for the lye water and a thermometer for the oils. I'm going to heat up the oils next, but I'm going to take this part out front and dump it. I'll be right back. So after dumping the lye into the water, I've come back in. Had to break up a cat fight before I could come in. I don't know what it is about rural areas, but it seems like people are constantly taking their unwanted pets and depositing them in our small town where people have no money. And so I've always got some kind of stray cats around my house because I don't have a dog right now. All right, so the first thing I want to do is heat up some palm oil. Palm oil, I need 40 ounces of palm oil. And I just heat this in the microwave. This is what it looks like. Kind of like flakes. I've also used it in a more form that's more like coconut oil, or it's just straight. So in this recipe, you need palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil, lye. It's also called caustic soda if you're trying to order it online. I order all my stuff online. You'll need water and essential oils. Now, you could do it without the essential oils if you don't like the smell. My friend who taught me how to do this did not like any fragrance at all. But for me, smell is one of the most wonderful parts of making your own soap because you can change it up all the time. And tonight I'm going to be using a lemon essential oil. And I haven't used lemon before. I always wanted to, but I haven't ever done it. I'm using one called Vanilla Oak. I got that from Brambleberry Soap. BrambleberrySoap.com is where I first started watching tutorials to learn how to make that and also how to make lotion. I started making lotion, I want to say I think probably I've been doing both of these for about the same time. So that would be like 13 years actually. So I'm 53 and though I look 53 being as heavy as I am, my skin is still super awesome. But back when I was like 38, I started noticing that I could see my pores. I could never see my pores when I was younger. And so I started to look for things that could help my face not to age so much. At the time, my husband was a nutritionist, and I had purchased a new purse one day, and it had one of those little sachets in it. And I was like, I do not know what these are. And he said, well, those are vitamin C. I'm like, it doesn't look like vitamin C. Why is it in there? You know? And he said it was a preservative. And so I started to look for facial products that had vitamin C in it. And I started to make toner and a facial lotion and a body lotion. But first I had to find one that I liked. I found one around 38 years old. I found one that I liked that I used all the time. And it was Jason and Ester C. So I was using some of those products, but they're pretty expensive, and I always want to make stuff myself. So um, if anyone's interested, I'll do a video on that. The anti-aging lotion, the regular lotion, and then I also make a toner. So, but even as heavy as I am, I was sitting at their hairdresser the other day and trying to guess her age, and they were trying to guess mine. And I thought I was about the same age as them, but they were 15 years younger than me. And these ladies had a lot more wrinkles than me. So I do really believe that these products that I make for my face and these soaps are all very good for my skin. I have actually a really dry skin, so that's why these things are important to me, so that I don't have crocodile skin. Alright, so this is 16 ounces. I gotta get some more palm oil out of the other room and heat it up. I'll be right back. Oh, it's still going. Dang. I tried to pause it so it wouldn't be so long. Sorry. As I'm waiting for the palm oil to heat up, I was thinking one thing that I was told was never to use metal utensils. Now, I always use a metal thermometer in my lye water. It's a meat thermometer, and then I just wash it with vinegar when I'm done. I don't let that lye water remain on it, because if you did, it would eat it up. One time I put the lye water out on top of my smoker, and like a day later, there is a white streak where the lye water was eating into the smoker still. So you don't really want to do that. You don't want to use metal dishes. So I use like ceramic bowls, plastic bowls, and this is what I like to mix my soap in. It's an old crock pot, and then I use what I call a boat motor, a stick blender. All right, we have another 16 ounces of palm oil heated up. So we need 8 more ounces of palm oil. So, I did this for health reasons. I wanted something healthful for my body. One thing I want to remind you of is that I don't know if you're aware, but our skin is actually an organ. I think it's I heard them say it was like the largest organ in our body, but it absorbs stuff. So that's why it's important that you know what you're putting on your body. And when people hear about lye soap, they think, oh, that's so horrible. But our ancestors used it for many, many years. And I've used it for a lot of years. And it doesn't hurt your skin. I just want to show you, I got some new molds that I'm going to try out tonight. These are silicone, and they're little rosettes. I don't have any rose essential oil right now, bummer. I can't do that, but I really like the silicone because after your soap has to sit. I cover it up with a towel. I'll try and show you that part later, and keep it warm for a couple of days. You're supposed to keep it out of a draft. I don't think that really matters because I put my spare stuff on the windowsill and it still is fine. But anyway, that's what they say. So after a couple of days of your soap, that your soap is in the mold and covered with a towel and out of a draft, then I take my soap in the mold and I stick it in my freezer. And I leave it there long enough for it to get hard. When it's hard, I will take it out, and then when it's frozen, I'll pop the soap out. And then I put it on a rack to dry. And my rack, so that the air can be underneath the soap while it's drying and on top of the soap. I usually leave it drying for 2 weeks. I have used the soap after probably 2 days of the drying. Some people wait a lot longer than that and say it's not safe, but I've used mine after a couple of days of drying. Now I'm going to do the coconut oil. I'm just using some stuff I got at Costco. It really doesn't matter too much. And I will need 16 ounces of coconut oil. Again, you got to heat it up. We're working at getting a particular chemical reaction going on. I've gotten some of my products off of Amazon before. I've noticed recently the cost of palm oil and the cost of lye has really gone up. But I've used brambleberrysoap.com to buy a lot of supplies there, especially because their essential oils are crafted for fragrance, and you don't need to use the most expensive essential oils for your soap to smell good. And I also have bought several supplies from Texas Naturals, and but everybody's prices have gone up recently for lye and for palm oil. Now, with the coronavirus and all that stuff going on right now, I think that, if stores are shut down and electricity and everything shut down, that would definitely change the way that you make soap. I bought a book about how our ancestors did everything, and I think that if we have to do things differently, then I think we will have to if things get shut down. Then you would want to use a lye mixture made from wood ash. I'm told that the wood ash soap doesn't get as hard as a bar soap. It would be more like soft soap. But I think anything would be awesome to clean yourself if we're thrown, backwards in time and don't have all of the things that we enjoy today. Still knowing all of these things, knowing how to do some of these things ourselves, I find it empowering. I mean, seriously, I think we need to ask ourselves the question, why should we pay everyone else to do what we can do ourselves? I don't know how everybody went away from growing their own food. My guess is it's the same kind of thing as what happened with electricity and water supply. When public water became readily available, it was, when talking to some oldsters, it was really, really cheap. So it was filtered and it was cheap and it looked better than the muddy water that they would get out of their well. And I'm talking about Texas right now because that's who I spoke to, were Texans. And so it was really cheap. I think probably power was the same way, that it started out really cheap, but then it got expensive. But I mean, we should go back to doing our own stuff. Got a little bit more than I wanted. Where's that? One thing I really would like to learn how to make is crackers. If you've got a good cracker recipe, I'd sure like to know how to make it. Okay, and now I'm going to put the olive oil in. And I need 8 ounces of olive oil. Also, whoever it was at Code Searchers that suggested taking a pinch of borax in water for nanobots, I've had some good results with that. I don't really want to say too much more about that, and I don't want to get busted from YouTube, so I'm just going to say that this is all in jest right now. It's just a joke. I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one. But I have taken that, and there were certain noises in my belly when taking an Epsom salt bath that I am not experiencing anymore. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, so our 8 ounces of olive oil heated. Okay, then I just started using some of this hemp oil. No, there's nothing in here to get you high. It's just it's kind of a strong thing, and it's also good for your skin and hair. So I've been putting just 2 tablespoons of this in, well, 2 to 4, and it seems like I'm getting better lather out of my bars. So hemp oil. And I know I'm using a metal spoon, but this is just in the oils. The oils aren't going to harm the metal spoon. And this is my cooking thermometer that I'm using. Alright, while I'm waiting for that to go up, I'm going to walk outside and check the temperature on the lye water. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, the lye water out front is at about 110 degrees, and in here my oil's at about 110 degrees, so I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. Lye water is supposed to be at 100. I could probably bring it in now and do it, but then I have to use the stick blender a little longer. This process goes faster or slower depending on the temperature outside and in your house. So sometimes when it's really cold outside, the lye water will cool down just immediately. When it's really cool outside, I heat up the oils before I put the lye in the water and take it outside. So I'm going to stop the video for a few minutes while I wait for the lye water to get closer to 100. I'll be right back. Hi guys. Okay, so my oil and my lye water is both at about 105, and I'm just going to go ahead and start to whip it into shape. After I pour my tea. Alright, so you want to be very careful. You want to pour very slowly. You don't want any splashes. You do not want to wear your favorite shirt while making this, because if you get splashed by the soap or the lye water, it will bleach a spot onto it, and probably eat a hole. So I'm going to start the blender now, and it's really loud. You might want to turn your volume down. This part could take a few minutes. I'm going to pause until it gets to a pudding consistency. A little closer now, a little closer to pudding consistency, but they call it trace, okay? So we're trying to get it to trace. Again, we're almost there. I just wanted you to see what it's looking like right now. So there's some pop when I pull it out. I'm really, really close. And my stick blender is getting extremely hot, which is normal, especially in the summer or in the warmer climates. Right now it's like in the 70s, so low 70s, so it's pretty warm. Okay, so now I've got it to trace. I hope you can see that it's kind of more gelatinous, more like pudding. I'm going to try to separate it into 3 different containers now because I want 3 different fragrances. And I don't ever measure anything. I'm just not that picky about making sure it's all perfect. Okay. I usually use about 2 tablespoons of oil, of essential oil, in each one. It does really depend on the oil how much you need. So that's the lemon. That's lavender. And the vanilla oak. There are natural things you can use to color your soap. Sometimes I play with those, but I don't usually have a lot of patience with it. So I haven't been able to get it quite right. Okay, and I'm going to pour this lemon into a cylindrical soap mold. And hopefully I won't have problems with it. I have had problems with this mold a couple times, but I really like this mold. All right. Oh, I got this little cute little doodad. I'm gonna try some little ones in here. Looks to me like I made the lemon the majority. All right. Oops. And still got more of that lemon. I need I have a wooden mold too, which is pretty cool, but it's really hard to get stuff out of that wooden mold. So I'm going to use it today. Um, you do really want to be careful when you're making this stuff because I don't know if you can see this chair, but you see these little spots right here? That was from soap splashing on my chairs that I stained. I wish y'all could smell this. It smells so good. This was actually a mold for cupcakes. It works really good. If you ever have soap left over and not enough molds. One thing I've done is put it on a piece of saran wrap and wrap it up, just like a ball. Squeeze the top like a bag of bread or whatever, and I'll just let that sit, and it will firm up into soap on the counter. And I know you guys probably don't want to sit through all this, but if I stop right now, I'll lose track of where I am and make a mistake. During the 2 weeks while this soap is curing on a rack, it is so nice because you can smell it all the time in your house. And I just love the good smell of the soap. It's so nice. I'm still filming, Jess, so you might not want to make an appearance right now. Okay. So at this point, you just want to cover all of these with saran wrap. You're going to cover them with saran wrap, and then you're going to put a towel over them to let them slowly cool down. And I'll show you what I use for a soap rack. This is my soap racks. I've got 3 or 4 of these, and they just tear on each other, make little tears, and then you put the soaps on them and let them dry. So that's about the gist of it. If you have any questions, let let me know. I really hope that you'll try this because I think you'll like it. All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.